Well, over the past few weeks, we've been talking about how parents can distinguish between appropriate developmental behaviors or if something more serious is going on.
Yeah, psychologist Dr. Laura Saunders is checking in with us this morning with a more in-depth look at autism spectrum disorder and why diagnosis rates are going up. How are you this morning, Doc?
Hello, friends. Happy Thursday. I am well this morning, even though it is another gray, rainy day.
It is another gray, rainy day, but don't worry, gray skies are going to clear up, so put on a happy face.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, we're talking about autism spectrum disorder. Can you describe to us what that is?
So autism spectrum disorder is really considered to be like a neurological disorder where there are deficits in three core areas: communication, socialization, and behavior. And because we consider it a spectrum disorder, there are levels of deficits in each of those three core areas.
What age do people start to notice that something is off with their kids?
Honestly, it really depends on how significant the deficits are. So, I mean, you can notice autism spectrum behaviors or symptoms in children under 2 or 3.
Really?
Tends to be when they're more severe. As they get older and the symptoms are more subtle, there are some individuals that don't get diagnosed until adulthood.
Wow, so it's something that you may not see actually when they're children or teens even.
Well, you may not see it as being obvious, but there are still clear deficits. There are often deficits in the way that they communicate, in the way that they socialize. In the higher functioning individuals or the milder autism, you might not see as many deficits in their behavior.
Right. I mean, we're talking about distinguishing between these things, and that's really a difficult thing for parents to do, right?
I do think it's difficult. I think parents know their children, and sometimes they notice when they see their child, if they have more than one child or they see their child playing with other children, they start to notice that things are off a little bit. And it's at that point that you can seek help and support.
At what point do you decide that you might need help, and what can be done what can be done?
If you see that your child is having difficulty in functioning, so you're noticing your child is, showing a little more interest in objects than people, has some maybe repetitive or stereotyped behaviors, plays with toys in a very unusual manner, little or no eye contact and babbling. So if you notice some of the more significant deficits or symptoms, I would bring it to your pediatrician. They're the great first line. And then the pediatrician, who has a wealth of developmental information, can put that behavior into context. But intervention's very important, because the more you intervene, the less and the more you can soften those deficits.
Yeah, and what do those interventions look like? Are we talking about medication? Are we talking about behavioral therapy? What are we talking about, Dr. Saunders?
So this is an area where actually medication is considered a last line. There's lots of interventions. It could be speech therapy. It could be occupational therapy, doing some socialization with young kids, having them learn reciprocity. So there's lots of intervention in areas that don't include any kind of medical intervention that can be life-saving for these young people.
Yeah, that's right. And you really need to check in with your pediatrician on all of this, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add? We have about 30 seconds.
It's just a coincidence that it seems like rates are increasing in autism, because it just really has to do with the fact that we understand the diagnosis much better than we did 30 years ago. It's not really that there's so many more people with an autism spectrum disorder.
Right, and that's important to note, right?
Very good point.
Thank you, Dr. Saunders. We
Thanks,
really
Doc.
appreciate it.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.
All right.